We are live. Welcome, Heather. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just great. We don't have an intro tonight, but that's okay. I had one, but I was like, I don't know, I don't want to do it all the time because then it takes away the specialness of it, right?
Right. I think just replay the other one because I know I have. I love that.
It was fun. I know Kobe's been playing it over and over again. That's probably why my views are up on it. So I just wanted to go over a couple things before we get into this special episode because I was talking to Heather behind the stage and the other night about what we got to share tonight, and I think everybody's want to see it because when I saw it, it sort of blew my head away. Blew my head off, like the emoji with the head goes. It has something to do with the location of the line share box, so we want to stick around for that. But first, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. There's been a lot of pretty chaotic things going on in my life, not chaotic in a bad way, but just chaos. And, this is the one solid thing I know that happens every week. And it's really nice to be able to share this time with everyone. And it gives my mind a little break from the move, the new job, everything else. So I just want to thank everybody for joining and making this all happen, because without everybody, this wouldn't happen. So thank you for everybody. And thank you, Heather, for joining.
Absolutely. I love it.
And we have even another big surprise. Remember that person that used to do videos with me? Her name was Laura. Yeah, she is going to be, well, we have a video that we're going to drop sometime this week. It's already uploaded. I haven't decided when I'm going to drop it. Maybe you guys could help me decide. But it's a new series we're doing. So, and I won't tell you anymore because I have to have some surprise, right? So, let us know in the chats if you want. Laura, who's Laura? That's what Kobe says. It's my wife. And we cut a video today and it was great. And I'm really excited about it. So I can't wait to drop that one. Let me know when you want to drop. I could drop it anytime. It is uploaded to YouTube right now. So that being said, we have a little hunt going on right now. It's called There's Treasure Inside, and everybody's looking for the boxes. Specifically, the one that's been in the spotlight lately is the lion's share. Now, tonight, I wanted to try to see what it would look like if we did a little elimination on some states. I know we've done videos like this before, but as I was putting that together, something crazy poked out at me, and I couldn't wait to share. But first, we'll put up a map of where we think some of the boxes are. I know this is just an assumption, and it could be anywhere, right? So we know the Forest Fen box is one of the states. That's why I put all the 4 boxes in the Fen states, just because I don't know, right? And I don't know the other ones either, but I don't know. It's just, that's the one we know where it could be in one of these 4 states exclusively, right?
Right.
Probably the only one that's a solid one. And, there's a popular solve going on for Nevada for the passing future. I'm not saying that's where it's at, but let's just, for the sake of this exercise, put it there. And then we also is a popular spot for the Pokemon box, which is in Arkansas. And I know people probably think it's somewhere else, and it could. And I'm just saying that, for the sake of this, putting it there. And then we put the Appalachian footbath box. I put it in the New England area. And I'll have to say, after I show what I'm going to show, I might be eating my words. Let's see. Laura is, Now, Laura, don't tell them what we're doing our stuff on. You could just say you're excited to be back. It's a surprise. I might be eating my words after I show this because it does point to the Vermont area. when we put this on here. So that being said, are you excited to see what I have?
Absolutely.
All right. We have, let's see, as I was looking, there is states that are adjacent to these boxes that held the Olympics. So we have California, and I'm going to give my geography in here now. We have Utah, we have Missouri, we have Georgia, and we have New York. All of these have had the Olympics in there. And wow, wasn't it a coincidence when I placed my boxes here and every box is adjacent to a state that had the Olympics in it?
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy? Crazy. So we have recently we talked about, and it wasn't my idea, but I think Kyle Lazar's had it on there where the coin actually pointed to Lake Placid in New York, and it lined up with Vermont. So I know, I said it wasn't in Vermont, but for the sake of this, wouldn't that be weird if all these matched and left one more for the line share? So before we go on any further, do you have anything to add, comment, subtract to this?
No, I think you got it covered. It's pretty interesting.
Okay. So, and I know we have the Appalachian footpath box in the wrong place. I'm not saying that this is possibly, this is where it's at. This is for the sake of this exercise. Now, if we put up this one, I put coins around, which would eliminate a state. Say if the past future box was in Nevada, we would eliminate these other states here. And if the Forest Fen box was in Colorado or New Mexico, then it would eliminate some other states, but it wouldn't matter with Texas because it still borders. Well, no, it doesn't border here, but anyway, the Pokemon would eliminate this anyway. So you see what I'm doing here. I'm sort of trying to eliminate states that are adjacent to the states where the boxes are at, the smaller boxes. And New England, I'm just eliminating a whole New England area. I think,
right.
You know, that would, if it's up there, that would cover that, which then leads us to Georgia. So we've eliminated Tennessee because if it is in Arkansas, then we eliminated Tennessee. So that leaves us with 4 states. Now, I remember in an interview early on, that's on the website, it was a text interview, when he said that somebody thought a box was in North Carolina, the Appalachian footpath box. He said, well, there's other states, but he goes, you know, I am from North Carolina, so you know there's one in the South, right? So that could mean Pokemon or wherever. But it also means, you know, if we want to distribute these equally, we could pretty much well do it. If we had, say, the past and future box was in Nevada, we've now covered the West. And if the, well, we know Forest Fen box is somewhere in these 4 states, we've covered the mountain area, right? Think of it in time zones.
Mm-hmm.
If Pokemon is in Arkansas, we kind of covered the Midwest. And then if we had Appalachian footpath box in New England, we've covered the New England area, which now leads the Southeast. Now, if you're going by population, this makes sense to me.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, I know looking at the population map, man, there's a line that they can draw down kind of close to the middle geographically, but that puts like 80% of the population in the east side of that line and 20% of the population in the left side of the line. So I do feel like, you know, I know there's a lot of people who don't feel like population would have played into it, but as a teacher, I have to disagree, because if I'm planning something for my students, I'll have some classes that have 5 students in it, and I have some classes that have 30. And I'm not going to bring, you know, if I'm going to have a party or whatever, I'm not going to bring the same amount of something to the class of 5 or 6 that I would to the class of 30. Like population is going to, in my opinion, have come into play. I mean, John's really smart and he's thought about a lot of factors. I don't by any means think it's the only factor, but I do think that there is a factor of that. So I think that with the New England area, that there's definitely a box up in that area in general where you have it. I've had a lot of thoughts about which states touch the most, which state would touch the most other states. I have a whole spreadsheet of that. And I know that, I think Tennessee and there's one other, they have the most states that they touch. I don't think that would have been, I don't think that would have necessarily been John's reasoning is I want to eliminate all the states. I think it's more of, I'm going to do the best that I can to disperse this. And hopefully it's, within reach of everybody's within reach of something. So I think that, I think that it looks like a good idea. I have had the same thought. I didn't go into it as well as you did here. And I agree. I think that, we all know that the Olympics is playing some part in all of this. And it's an overarching thing. We have several overarching themes, but you can't ignore the fact that the Olympics is a large one.
Yeah, and I've heard the theory of putting the Olympic rings over the U.S. and stuff, and to me that didn't. I don't know, right? It sounds like a great idea and stuff, but this is now, to me at least, a cleaner way of using the Olympics as the theme, that it can then come into play. And I saw in some chats that some people don't think that population comes into play. I guess the reason why I do is that, he said he wanted to make these accessible try to make it accessible so everybody feels like they're pretty close. And if you're putting in an area that, if you look at population density map and you look in the upper mountain area, there's not a lot of people there,
Right.
Comparatively to the other states. Yes, we can drive, we can also fly, we can also, get there somehow. But if you are saying you want to make it accessible to people, you're going to put it close to populated areas, hence more accessible. So, but again, I could be wrong, right? That's the whole idea of sort of talking this one out. Now, that also makes an assumption that Appalachian Footpath Box is in New England area. I've been my own personal thoughts, as much as I disagree back and forth with 3D Bronze because I thought it was in New Hampshire, he thinks it's in Vermont. Regardless, we both agree that it could be in this New England area. But again, it could be found. We could know tomorrow. Somebody could come up and say, "Hey, it was found in Georgia," right? Or it could be found in another state that's not even on the Appalachian Trail. If he says somewhere along it, I guess my point is we don't know until it's found.
Absolutely.
But this seemed to me to be a pretty neat thing that popped up, and coincidentally, if it were, say, if Past and Future Box was found tomorrow and Forest Fen Box was found the next day and they both lined up, and then Pokemon lined up with other one, what would be the odds that all the other ones would be in the same play? Or am I just over assuming on this?
No, I don't think you're over assuming. Like I said, I think that there's a disbursement pattern. I think that John, I don't know that he necessarily, I think he went more on his personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
He said anytime he could, he used a place that was personal to him. And John's got a lot of personal experiences I'm sure he hasn't shared with us. Therefore, right. I don't feel like, I've always felt like he did hide these on trails he's been on before. Not necessarily, is it necessarily in North Carolina on a trail that he grew up on? No, not necessarily. But I feel like there could be moments in his life where he was in a particular location for whatever reason, and that sparked something with him. Like engagements, first dates. I mean, there's just always so many
Yeah.
things that can happen in life that are memorable moments. And I feel like, you know, he had a lot to do with even his music industry. I mean, there were times that, I mean, there was a time where his band was actually, you know, successful and moving up. And so he may have had a particular performance in a certain place or whatever. There's just a lot of things that could play into it. Like I said, I don't think that we can do one map that says the population is what he did, or,
Right.
you know, that the Olympics
Yeah.
is what he did. It's going to be an overlap of kind of maybe a myriad of those things.
Yeah.
But I think this definitely gives a good visual for the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a nice, clean one. Again, I'm not saying this is what it is, and, you know, we don't have to agree with me, and I may change my mind again on this, but I would be remiss if I didn't share this because, I also was thinking about when Laura and I went to New Hampshire. When we flew into Maine, I was thinking as we are driving to New Hampshire from Portland, Maine, I was thinking, Portland is where John had went in the story of the Pokemon story,
Right.
and I was like, that got my head. I think that's what really started my gears turning again in my head. It's like, well, if he and actually Laura was the one that came up with this idea. It's like, well, if he was there, this could be like a nod to the New England area. Hey, while he was up there, maybe he thought this is such a beautiful place because we thought it was a really beautiful place when we're up there. Wouldn't it be great to hide a box somewhere up in this area? I'm not saying it's in Maine or anything, or Portland or anything like that, but it drew his attention to that area. It could have come into play when he was researching for the Appalachian footpath box, somewhere in that area.
Right.
So I liked it. I thought it was good. One in each corner. Let's see. We got one in each corner, one in the middle. Yeah, I mean, you could have that as well. It could be anywhere, right? I'm not saying, and I don't think it's realistic for anybody to think that they know exactly where it's at until they found one. So,
Right.
I think it could be anywhere. But I just I don't know, this thing, I'm going to be focusing on this now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny if the lion's share was in Florida? I mean, I don't know. There's if you look at all the national trails in the US, there's a couple national trails that go through the upper part of Florida that look pretty nice if you do your research on them. But again, don't think it's going to be, I don't know.
Yeah, I do also remember a very, very odd connection to the Olympics that I had with Florida, and it's been a while since I researched it, but it would be whoever was organizing the Olympics way back when or whatever. I'm talking like early years, was from Florida. When there was something to do with that. I think the origination of that first Olympic Games here. I can't remember exactly. It's been this was something I looked a little bit at, probably early 2025 maybe. But there's, I am also one of those who doesn't I don't want to do mental gymnastics. If I can't, I only step one standard deviation away from the book. If it takes, a bridge to get me there to something else, I just don't feel like John did that. I feel like everything's going to connect to the book somehow. And I can't remember what that interesting connection was. I tried to find it today, but I can't find it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I like this map so much that now when I go through, I will start to try to look for things that would put it in that area. Like my original thought, and I know this is bad, but I'll also try to disprove it. Right. Because I think what got me so far with Appalachian footpath box was my rhetoric with 3D bronze. Like, I wanted him to be wrong so bad. I was trying to find everything that could be wrong with Vermont. And the more I do that, and I hate to say this, but I'm gonna, because I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my word, right? The more I try to disprove him and try to make mine work, the more I saw it through his eyes and saw how it could be in Vermont. right?
Right. And I've done the same thing recently with Lake Tahoe. I originally didn't think that that was where the passive future box was, but the more I've leaned into the research and the stuff in the book itself, and it's been a while since I'd visited that one. I had intended to do a video on it. I started to do one. I was trying to do a series on each of the small boxes, and each time I revisit these smaller boxes that I'm not continually working on, something, I usually end up with a different perspective than, I used to have on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good exercise to do. And, I've only tried that now with, I did the same as well with the, passive future box. I think, K-Pro asked me to, come on her show before and try to poke holes into her solve, right? Which I think is a very, constructive way to do that. Like, because then you'll find where your gaps are at. You find somebody that is sort of agnostic on the location, and then and try to poke holes into it.
Yeah.
And as I did that, I kept looking for faults in there, and I found them. I found some, but I found more non-faults than I found faults in there.
Right.
And I still went back and forth, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's could be pretty realistic. Now, where at? I mean, I don't know. You're talking about a huge area there. I
Right.
wouldn't even. It wouldn't be enough for me to go ahead and book tickets to go out there. But then I haven't been working on it that tightly, so I don't have other things lined up that would say, okay, it's in this area. And you got to give credit where credit's due, where people have been doing that, and they're coming up with some pretty good things, and good for them. That's how we move the ball forward, right?
Right.
I mean, I think with you have Dr. R Squared, you got Ohio Jones, and these are people I personally follow and listen to. On the Appalachian Foot and 3D Bronze, I mean, they've gotten me to a point where I'm thinking a little differently and not necessarily trying to force my solve to fit my area.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm going to go ahead and jump on the next shiny new clue, but it does give me a different perspective on how I'm going to look at my clues and how they match up. So, I'm still looking into that. I think I was talking to Gregory from X Marks New Jersey lately. He's been messaging me. He's got some pretty good ideas. And I don't know, Kobe, if you could find his link on his, go to X Marks New Jersey's. You find him on YouTube. Sorry I didn't have the link for you earlier, but he has a really good video. Actually, I messaged him. I really liked what he had, and I won't share much of it because it's his solve, and I want him to explain it better. But I liked his up to a point where I took something else from it, so you don't always have to agree with everything, but the way he laid it out, like right in the beginning, I'm like, well, this really works well. And where he went one path, I sort of went a different path with it, which is fine.
Yeah.
Just to try to test some other things on it, but he's got a really good self. So between all those people, I mean, this is a lot of people working collectively to get to that place. Because look, we all want to see, and we all want to find a box, right? But realistically, we still want somebody to find one, and I think it's going to make life a little bit easier on us, maybe, or at least give us some sleep hours back. That I know if the AT box is found tomorrow, I think
the box, our sleep hours are probably going to drop drastically lower.
I think if the AT box is found tomorrow, after I met with my therapist and got all settled out and everything, I think I will be going back to sleep a little bit. I don't know.
The rest of us will be digging in, trying to figure out what we can learn from that one so we can see if we're right and keep going.
Yeah, right. And then we'll be like, and then it won't take long after all that excitement fizzles out that we're like, oh, there's another box to be found, because that'll make it even easier.
Yeah. And
I
John seems to think once two of them are found, it's going to roll. So I think it's going to be the fact that when one's found, we can look at the solve, and it may not seem like we get very much from it. But then I think when a second one comes along and we see the parallels, the things that are the same, the things that line up together, is when we're going to go, okay, he did that twice.
yeah.
This seems to be a theme. So let's look in that direction. And that's probably where it'll start to roll some.
Yeah, if I see two boxes and they line up with my map, I'm gonna be excited.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it feels good to every now and then in this hunt, sometimes you just feel like you need something that connects. And if it was a
Yeah.
box found with my map, that'd be great. But I mean, just every now and then, there's so much ambiguity in this hunt that every
Yeah.
now and then it just feels good to feel like something connected strongly.
Yeah.
Because I know I make a lot of connections and I make a lot of things, but every now and then I look down at the paper and go, am I just crazy at this point? Like, am I just making stuff up? Like, and if you think about word association, you aren't very many steps from being able to associate one thing with another if you put a couple of bridges in between there. And so, confirmation bias is going to be a thing that we're trying to make those connections. And if I want to make a connection, I'm going to find one. I just have to, a lot of times I have to just cool my heels about how hard I'm trying. If it doesn't come at me naturally, I've just had to learn the hard way. This treasure hunt had to go for me from being something that was almost personal to basically it's just another problem in my world. I mean, like it's important to me, but like I have to approach it as if it's just another problem that I need to work on and find a solution for, and not necessarily that it has to be something that I had already thought of to try to make me feel like I was smart. I just want to know what the connections actually are.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna sort of ask you, I know I shouldn't use the assumption that everybody else does the same thing I do, but I tend to get wrapped around the axle quite a bit and I have to pull back from it. It's just my personality, right?
Yeah.
And, how often do you find yourself in a spot, or am I the only wacko out there that does this, it's like, okay, I need to obsess about this. I don't do it as much now as I used to when I had more time on my hands, but I find myself specifically at night and on the weekends when I'm just because getting ready to move, the physical part is really mindless, right? It's really, you don't have to think much. You're just physically moving things around and stuff.
Yeah.
That's when my mind is like, or I'm like mowing the lawn or something, is doing that. Like, how much times do you catch yourself and you're just like, whoa, pump the brakes, I gotta back off this.
Do you really want to know?
Yeah.
It's pretty much a constant thing in my world. Like it has consumed so much of it is my free time. I'm just lucky that my husband enjoys watching me do it, because
Mhm.
it is, one of those things that, and it's not, I don't think there's ever any time that it lets up. I mean, I'll put the book down every now and then when I kind of notice that he's like, hey, can we go to the beach this weekend? Or like, can we do something? Because every evening I'm looking at the treasure book, he might sit down to watch a television show. Half the time my nose is stuck in that book. And I know it's a little obsessive. That is my personality, but I also am a person who's accustomed to being able to figure things out way more quickly than this.
Mhm.
So it is trying that side of me, because I just keep pushing, because I'm like, I've got to figure something out. I've got to see something. And so like I continue to work on it a lot, especially this summer. I mean, I took this last week off. I'm going to be taking another little bit of time. I will be back in a classroom in a little over 2 weeks. But I
Mhm.
look back at my summer and I've spent my entire summer working on the podcast, and when I wasn't working on the podcast, I was working on the treasure hunt. But I don't think it's come to a point where it's unhealthy, but I could see how I could get there.
Yeah. I found myself eating Ben& Jerry's ice cream the other night. Speaking of unhealthy, right? But the ironic thing, the more unhealthy part, is imagining me eating it out of George Washington jelly glass, because I have this mini vase that looks identical. It's almost identical. It's the same like pattern on it, right? And I think it's a style of the era or whatever, or it's a style that's held up over time. And I go, Laura, I want to put my ice cream. And she stopped me before I could finish saying it. She goes, no, you're not going to do that. I go, but I'm not going to eat it on air, like in front. That'd be horrible to do that, right? But I think that was the point where I needed to be like, okay,
Yeah.
I can't be eating my nightly ice cream, or not. Well, it's sort of nightly lately, it seems like, out of this glass jar that looks like George Washington's jelly jar. I think that might be a little bit too much.
Yeah, might be. I mean, I have a whole shelf of replicas of what I could find.
Yeah, no, I'm dying here because I can't wait to get my new studio set up, because we're refurnishing just about everything, and I need to put my 3D bronze boxes back up. It's killing me. I'm using this VR or AI created backdrop here. I'm envious of your studio, Heather. I need to get something.
I worked for it a long time, and after it was finished, I was kind of like I took a whole bedroom into this. I kind of didn't need this much space, but I love coming in here. It's my place to come in here and work on the treasure hunt or to work on the podcast. It's just kind of my place to let myself think about all of this. But I do think that there are times that we can't. When I get so in depth, if I do that for 2 or 3 days straight, and I mean, there are times I haven't slept for more than 2 or 3 hours because my brain is still going and I think of something, I got to get up. But, I think after 2 or 3 days, if I kind of hit a run like that, then I kind of do have to check myself and say, it's not healthy. It's not doing you any good. And you're probably not productive when you get in that phase. But I don't do it a whole lot, but every now and then, especially when I feel like I see something new, then I just want to chase it.
Yeah. Now, has there ever been a day where you're just like, I'm not thinking about it at all?
I don't think a single day has gone by, with the exception of the break that I took when I said I was done. When I've actually been on this, I don't think a single day has gone by that I haven't spent time thinking about something and or reading. I've been on it, and when I say I've been on it, I mean it probably could consume a good 6-8 hours Saturday if I don't have anything else going on. Even if it's just watching, a podcast or two, which I have a lot to catch. I had a lot to catch up on because I stayed away from that world for so long that when I came back and I'm trying to, I'm interacting with some of the podcasters and I want to watch their shows.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make mine. It takes a lot of time to do all of that. So this secondary, side hobby of mine has somewhat taken over what would be a full-time job, but I enjoy it. And that's the difference.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like to also listen. There's a handful of the other podcasters that I specifically make time for. I know when Habeas drops it's because they're not long. I immediately watch them. Right.
Yeah.
And Matthew Hobbies, I watch them, and I keep up with all the live ones and stuff. So,
and speaking of others, I was thinking what might be interesting going along with your Olympic theme is the Unofficial Podcast. Blake, Bryn, Kobe. I think it was just the last one I watched. I may not have watched the most recent one, but they had maybe it was 2 weeks ago, but they had a analyzation of Mysterious Writings Discord. And it's a very long document. They had posted on it there. And if you guys out there are interested in, understanding what's the trend in thought, it analyzes like where people think, where the majority of the people think that the particular boxes are, and it shows how it's changed over time. I just thought it was interesting. I'm not a bandwagon girl, so I don't jump on a bandwagon just because everybody else says this is what they think. But it's interesting to see where people are and how they've changed over the time of the hunt. And it also shows like how many people apparently are working on each box, and the interest in which box people are working on is changing. For instance, right now, Past and Futures dropped way off. Lion Share has gone way up. But I thought that it might be interesting to just take a take a look at the information about, where the trends are for the information and the thoughts, because as people read the book and as people study it more, are they trending towards something that looks like your map, or are they trending away from it? Not that it makes it right or wrong, just it is a good way to get a feel for what everybody else is thinking, or at least those that participate in that particular Discord, which I think is probably the largest one that we have for the hunt.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to look at my analytics from my videos on the different boxes to know which ones, at least from my viewers. Now I have a larger sample size on that, but which ones were trending. Like for a while, AT box was like, I mean, I'd drop that video and it would be like on fire all the time. And then the passive feature was hot as well. Those were two for a long time. Now it's only my channel, so it's not scientific or anything, but that's how I sort of gauged which boxes people are more interested in. But to your point, that it's always interesting getting that kind of data, right?
Right.
Is finding how how the majority has migrated their thought process
Yeah, I
and
think I
what's
see
even
comments. Information Overload TTI says that was their analysis. So thank you for doing that. I did not
yeah.
know where that had come from. But anyway, I did see that was theirs, and I did see it on the unofficial podcast, but they were apparently using that one. So awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Always appreciate good stuff. And with all the new channels coming out, with all the new Substacks and everything, I try to keep up on all of them. When I say try, this is a lot to try.
Yeah.
I do like the Substacks because to me they're a quick read. I can read through. I don't have to listen through a lot of information. I do like, and now I'm gonna really be upset with my treasure hunt travelers. Right, they're my new favorite of the husband and wife that do the TTI stuff.
Mhm.
I enjoy listening to them, and some of their are a little long, but I don't mind. I'll still have those on. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to sift through anything to get to what they're talking about, and they're so articulate about things they talk about, and they're just fun to watch.
Yeah.
And they'll be on the show soon, and maybe even do a live stream with us. They travel a lot, so they're doing
That'd be
boots on the
great.
ground.
I have enjoyed the ones I've seen. Like I said,
Mhm.
I have a hard time keeping up, but I do try to kind of venture around out there and see what's going on. And they've had some really good ideas. Some
Yeah,
things I thought
yeah,
were
really good
very
ideas.
insightful.
Yeah, and the good thing about it is you don't necessarily have to agree with the ideas, right? There's
Absolutely.
when you have these ideas come on, it's like, well, I never thought of it that way,
Right.
and they're new and they're fresh. They're not rehashing a lot of stuff. So it is refreshing to hear that side of it. And then, even the smaller ones like real, I like saying REEL, Treasure Adventures,
Right.
um, Catherine Dudley Blair. I mean, she doesn't do a lot of stuff, and I think her last one was only a few minutes long, but really insightful. Like, I think once she starts doing some more videos, you're going to see a lot of good stuff from her. I know she's a professor, so she's getting ready for school and everything like that. And I understand that she doesn't have the time to put a lot of stuff out, but yeah, check her stuff out. She had a part one of two. I think both of them are out now. That she was talking about some clues. I really enjoyed listening to that.
Yeah, that one is definitely on my list of things I was wanting to take a look at. She's been the things that I've seen so far have been interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I would love to pick her brain on editing too.
Yeah.
And yours as well, because I think she
Word
uses.
for word,
I don't
sure.
think she uses Final Cut on hers.
Yeah.
If she's using the same software which she's using in her classroom, is a little different. And we got travelers, yay! But I know you use Final Cut Pro, right?
No,
No, you don't. I thought because you have Mac.
I do. I just use CapCut.
Oh, okay. Kobe uses CapCut too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheap.
Right. I don't know. I taught myself on Final Cut years ago. I'd say about 7 years ago. Because I had did like a safety train video. I thought it was pretty cool. I would share it, but it's proprietary it's for a company. Um, and it took me like 6 months to do it, and I ended up doing like a 10-minute long driver safe delivery video because I worked for a chemical distribution company at the time, and we had some issues with drivers delivering to the wrong, unloading chemicals to the wrong area. So,
Mhm.
but so it was pretty fun. That's how I learned how to use it. And
Yeah.
now the problem with Final Cut though, and I won't get too far deep in this, we'll start losing people, and nobody cares about this. But
Yeah.
is Final Cut can create some very large libraries, right?
Yeah.
The recent one I did with Laura and I did an intro and outro for it, a new one, because a whole new series. My library, and I saved it on my external because my internal's only got like 500 gig internal, was 100 gig library file, and it was only under 40-minute video.
Yeah.
And that's not doing any crazy, keying or anything, or anything like masking or anything. It was
Yeah.
pretty wild. Anyway, enough about that. So I'm not going to do CapCut, Kobe. I'm sticking to mine. We have a couple questions here, and let's
Yeah,
get to
let's get
these.
that.
So Bill, my friend Bill, he always comments on videos. He's a great guy. Question: when JCB says not private land, does that mean not owned by people, or is that open to public? Example: Walmart open to public. Anyone can go into the parking lot, public space. It's a good question. Heather, would you like to start on that one?
Well, I researched that for quite a while, and I also listened to it again, Dave's podcast with American Treasure. It reconfirmed that because I guess when I was listening to that, I heard John's words again about exactly what that means. So from what I can gather from the things that John has spoken about and the way he words it in the book, that it is not on private property and you don't have to cross private property except that there's possibly an easement granted. And so an easement granted would be that there is some sort of involvement from a standpoint where the land is approved for use by the public. John did say stay in, kind of he really leaned away from the urban area back into nature. I think that was the Q&A in Las Vegas. But I think he felt the need to cover himself if there is a trail that runs through, and then maybe 100 feet of that trail is on private property, but the private property owner has and granted an easement for free use of that area. From the way that John words it, in my personal opinion, just from reading his words, I don't think anything is going to be hidden even on an easement. I just think that it's that you have the ability to cross there. You may need to cross a small portion of the trail, may run through what is considered to be private property, but has been granted the easement for the access. But the way I read it, I don't feel like John's going to hide the treasure there, but he did want you to know that you may find yourself in a position to need to cross the public land while using the trail that has been granted easement to use. And whether or not it's a trail would be irrelevant, but there should be some sort of agreement or some sort of precedent that the public is expected to be allowed there without restriction. In order for you, because you're not going to want to go hunting, if you thought it was going to be on placed in the easement area, you really then have to think about, I just don't think John's going to put a landowner in that position for people to be off trail, off of the area where they may have granted the easement. Because where does the land end? Where's the line drawn? Because you're already on somebody else's property, so there's no way to look at the boundary of what that would entail. So, in my personal opinion, from what John says, it's the easement idea that allows people to be there. I do know that has said before that it doesn't, you may or may not have to pay to get into something. That wasn't something he considered. So, when you use the Walmart idea, I don't think it's a Walmart, but I do think that, if a trail runs through a certain area and they've been granted the easement, you may have a gate entry fee to get to that trail. You may have something that you have to pay for, but John just didn't consider that to be something he needed to concern himself with.
Yeah, I like your answer to that, and I agree with that. And I just want to add, you know, for an example of how it would be on an easement, when we were in Pennsylvania on the Appalachian Trail, we had to walk through, it was like 50 yards. There were a bunch of houses, like, I don't call like cabins, that you had to walk across, like a communal driveway. So I could see why he said that. It's like, well, technically it is private, and you walk through that area. But to your point, I don't think he hit it on that type of land. But you
Right.
will have to walk across something that is technically could be considered private, but is granted access because of where the location's at and stuff like that. So,
And I also look at that in two ways. One, he may have put that in there because he knew it was going to be an issue, or suspected that one of our boxes may have this situation that you're going to run into, or
yeah,
it may have been a thought of things can change here and there in the future. And so what may not be on private property right now that's granted an
yeah,
easement may eventually become that. So, it kind of covers the idea of using any type of crossing. But in his book, it led me to believe from the wording, and I can look it up, but that it would for a short time.
yeah,
I think the way he worded that. Let's see, I have the book here.
yeah. No, that's a good point though. But there, at least I could say, at least on my experiences on the Appalachian Trail, there are a lot of instances where I had to that you did cross over private land that was shared like in an easement. It wasn't like I was going through somebody's, do not enter signs or anything like that type thing. But that's
Yeah,
a good question though.
he
You know,
does say crosses private land for a short ways,
yeah,
and where that section has been given a public easement. So
yeah,
I don't think I think it's definitely a public easement, and you can look that information up. I don't think it's even a tolerance level situation. From what he was anticipating, it was a short ways, and that it was given an actual public easement. So I would definitely make sure those two boxes were checked off when I was checking if I had something that went through public property or private property.
yeah. It's much more common for, I understand, in Europe, that where a lot of the private land is granted full access by the public
Yeah.
to hike through. It's just the way it's set up. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We got another one. So good. I like that answer, and you said it a lot better than I could have. Thank you for that.
No problem.
So we have another one, Chad Baker videos. At what point is it okay to start looking for confirmation? Seems that once you hit a tipping point, identifying all of the confirmations might help narrow down the search location. That's a real good question. Go with that. I'll let you start with that one too, since you did such a great job on the other one.
Well, I think that confirmation and confirmation bias are very similar. And I think that the bias part just comes in if we allow our personal experiences or in order to influence it. You're gonna have to look for connections. I know I went through this, especially when I was re-looking at the past and future box and the possibility of Lake Tahoe. I've never been past the Mississippi. Well, not far past the Mississippi until I was in Arizona last week. Like, I have not been on that part of the country. So I don't know anything about any landmarks, any things that might click together. So when I see something that seems like it's a little out of place, John said something a little strangely, then I may delve in that direction. But what I try not to do is I try not to say, I'm going to go at this location and look for this specific thing, and it be so general that the chances of it popping up weren't nearly as narrow as I maybe thought they would be. But I do think that, it's okay to even have what may be confirmation bias on, kind of on the side. When other things also start to confirm and converge in that direction, you're getting multiple sources that are pointing you in that direction. That may be okay. That's not necessarily confirmation bias. But I think that confirmation bias is when you've determined that, for instance, that it is going to be in a state with the Olympics. And so therefore, every time you have something, you go looking for something to connect to the Olympics. And, or you start Googling, what person founded them? Where were they from? If you start researching deeper and deeper about a specific person or thing, and you find yourself really clawing at it and trying to dig up something, that's when you kind of have to make a choice. I typically follow it through, write it down. That's why I have 9 binders of information over here. But I typically try to notate, highlight the things that I know are good, things that are not so strong that could be helpful, because confirmation bias is not always a bad thing if you have it in check. It's the bias. It's the bias part that you have to watch out for. Don't assume that And I really learned a lot from Dave last week. I'll be honest with you, that conversation with him. John it's almost like John told us that confirmation bias was a terrible thing. And then all of a sudden, John, I feel like, will put things that he knows you're going to make a connection to that may not be correct, because John does love to watch us go down rabbit holes.
Yeah, right.
The best way to do that is to think, well, they already think the Olympics is involved, and I got this perfect opportunity right here. So let me just throw this word or two in there that's going to make that connection in their brain. And then all of a sudden you have a rabbit trail. And I think that John did that probably more often than I maybe had believed he did before. But now that I've really looked at it since our conversation with Dave, I am beginning to see where I feel like he may have stuck some things in there, that he's introduced the topic to us. He's given us information about it. We've read about it before. Hey, here would be a great opportunity for me not to make it very easy for them, but to give them a little bit of a twist.
And here's John's confirmation bias right here. He's like, you know what? I know where the Olympics were, and I'm just going to hide a box in adjacent state to all Olympics and call it confirmation bias.
Yeah.
That very much so could be. I'm not claiming that it's not. So that was good.
Well, until we find something, we just don't know. All these are just theories. And when the first box is found and we start to see connections, we can form I probably have 10 or 15 different theories working right now about connections. But I just don't ever land on them and grab onto them until they converge in a way that there's just no way that continues to happen. And for me, that takes more than 2 or 3.
Yeah. We have, Wick, you're late to the game. You gotta go back to the beginning and listen to what we said.
Is that where you are, Wick?
Yeah, Wick, you have to rewind and go back to the beginning, because your head's gonna be blown away by it. So I know you won't agree with me with the Appalachian Trail, but that's okay.
Well, that's okay. I don't agree with you either, so that's okay.
Right. I don't know if I agree with myself sometimes.
Yeah.
Another question here: information overload. So when the AT box is not found in Vermont and found in North Carolina instead, what does that mean for the Northeast and the possibility of a different box being hit there? That's a very good question. Like, that changes everything, and it gives us more material to start, manipulating the map again. And that's a very good point. Like I said, I am not making a claim. I know where it's at. I haven't found a box. For all I know, and others that I've been talking to, very much well could be wrong. And that's the way it usually goes when I do things. I usually end up being very wrong, but I learn from it, and that's the important thing from it. It will change everything. Information overload, TTI. It'll change a lot. It'll change everything moving forward, and that's why it's so important for one of these boxes to get found, especially one that so many people publicly, at least, are talking about that it could be in this one area. Because if it is found tomorrow and it is in North Carolina, then it changes the game for everything. And it makes this even a more exciting hunt, I think.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm moving to North Carolina here in a couple weeks. I would love for it to be in North Carolina. I
You know,
mean, truly.
North Carolina is interesting to me simply because if you look at it, there's the possibility the Appalachian footpath box is there. I mean, in the reality of the world, that covers that area. He also left from there on the
Pokemon.
trip. So seriously, like that's the
Yeah.
beginning of a trip that he hit it on. He could have hit it at any point in time.
Yeah.
And so the past and future, we don't know where it was. And that coin coincidentally did line up at, over there with North Carolina as well as it did over at Tahoe. So it's funny to me. I've watched, but it's almost like John's waiting for the confirmation bias to just jump out at us on everything. And I'm not saying that the Appalachian Trail Box is not in North Carolina. I just do find it interesting how the nudges can be there for that one in like 3 different boxes. If you wanted to try to make it there. Now, the Appalachian Trail Box though being found, if it were found in North Carolina, that would free up the entire Northeast. Then you've only got 2 choices. You either have Pokemon Past and Future, or you have the lion's share. Because he's not going to leave the Northeast of the country open and with nothing there.
Yeah, there's going to be something there. I think the Past and Future, Jenny Kyle, he's got a great thought on that she had mentioned in one of her videos that it could line that up with North Carolina. I mean, I think from what I've heard, what she said for Past Future being North Carolina has a stronger clues than Appalachian footpath box being there.
Yeah.
So
I was
it could be.
That's where I started. Yeah. I started that box and I started in that state. And that's what I thought but I will say, I have, now that I've gone back into it with a different perspective and a different lens, the Past and Future does look very much to me like it's going to be around the Nevada, California line there with Lake Tahoe area. Thing about, that could be is that it may start there. A lot of times I feel like John talks so much about being on a journey that I don't, and I feel like in my own learning with the box, the line share box that I'm working on, nothing has not felt like a journey yet. Like there wasn't a single location. There's a starting point and then there's a journey to follow. And you have to, you kind of do that. So it may start there and it may end up, somewhere in the nearby area, but not necessarily at Lake Tahoe. Who knows? But I just feel like that, but if we're wrong, then we're all just going to have to reset and figure out what we did wrong and figure out how it looks differently if we can. Because every time I put on a different perspective, this book has been written with a couple of different perspectives already that I can see him writing through. And it's almost a different book every time you read it from a different perspective. You get different information out of it depending on the perspective that you've put on. And I know that I've read this book in so many times that there have been more than one time that I've read the same thing over with a different lens or different perspective. And it's almost like the story is telling something completely different.
Yeah.
So there's part of me that does think that John is going to enjoy watching us scramble around in all our directions before, somebody finally lands it. But I don't think it's as obvious as we would like it to be. I know it's not as obvious as I want it to be. But I think that when we see it, we'll agree that it does work that way. But I think we'll see all the times that John maybe, and I think a lot of people like to call them red herrings. I'm careful about the red herrings part because I feel like the red herring is when I send you somewhere intentionally.
Yeah.
In order to make you think you've arrived, in order just to turn around and tell you that wasn't it. And John has one of those in the lion share. And he's said it before. He says it doesn't matter, but I don't agree with that. If it's a red herring, it matters. But I think it's not necessarily red herring so much as it's Hey, here's a few clues. I know you'll make a connection out of these. Let's see if you're checking yourself well enough not to fall down this pathway.
Yeah. Real quick before we go to other questions, Kobe, I'm not going to use CapCut because CapCut does own your intellectual property after that. So make sure you read your user agreements with it. Just putting it at that.
I need to take a look at that. Thank you.
They can repurpose your videos in any way they want. You're basically giving them permission to use and modify and everything like that. So
Well, that will end quickly.
yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd say it. We have another one. How much money are you going to spend before you have second thoughts about hunting for hidden treasure? That seems like an odd question because I don't think it's about, I don't know. To me, it's like saying how much money will you spend on vacation until you plan that you don't want to take vacation anymore. Right.
Right.
I mean, I I spend money on this like I would any other form of entertainment, whether it be going to the movies, which seems like nobody does anymore, or going on vacation, or some people gamble and go to the casinos. It's like how much money will you spend until you realize you're not going to, or even better one, how much money you spend on a lottery until you realize that it's a tax on people that, didn't take statistics class in college or something. I don't know. It's a long shot, right? This is a long shot too. I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question.
Well, I think the best answer I have for that is that this is not about finding a treasure. That if I don't find one, I have somehow ended up with mountains of debt that I've got to deal with. You can't treat this treasure hunt that way. This isn't that's not the purpose of the treasure hunt. The purpose of the treasure hunt was to get us out, give us an idea of something we want to do. We enjoy the puzzles. We enjoy the book. We enjoy the research. So when we're doing this, we're doing all of that as a hobby. When I take off on a trip to do boots on the ground, I'm not doing anything different than I would have done that weekend. I just have the anticipation of possibly figuring out where these boxes are at the same time. And if you treat it like it's the lottery or like it's what you're doing in order to just get the money, then there's a good chance that you're probably going to find yourself in a bad spot. And I don't know how much money somebody would spend in that direction. But for me, it's not about that. We're not spending money in anticipation of we have to find this box in order to make this work. It's a side hobby. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, it's like if I weren't spending the money I spend on this, I would be buying Lego or I would be buying something else or spending something else because this isn't money that's tied up in an investment that I'm using to try to, get rich by finding a treasure. This is my hobby. Like I said,
Yeah, we're not pulling out our 401ks to figure this out.
Yeah, no, this is disposable income that I'm spending on this. This isn't money that's not allocated for. It's going to get spent regardless.
Yeah, I don't need to get a second job to be able to do this. It's just, maybe it's the same thing I save up for anything else. I don't do a lot of other things outside of other hobbies outside of this. I don't play golf. I don't do a lot of things that do cost people money. This is what I do, and I enjoy this part of it. Would I like to find a box? I would not lie to you and say no. Absolutely. But it's not, if I don't find a box, it's not going to spiral me financially or mentally, maybe for a second mentally.
And mentally it will.
Yeah.
For me.
We'll get right back together and we'll get back on the horse and we'll keep going. This is enjoyment. I enjoy this. And just like I would enjoy anything else, I don't see the point in playing golf. Sorry, it's just not my thing. So people who spend hundreds of dollars on a Saturday golf or whatever, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure my treasure hunting doesn't make sense to people. If I spend money on it, then in the midst of spending that money, I've taken a trip with my husband or my kids, or I've built memories, and those are things that are more valuable to me than anything else is. And so I think that's how you have to look at a treasure hunt.
Yeah. And I don't know where this comment went though, but you know, I spend more time outdoors hiking, not looking for treasure than I do looking for treasure. I just love being outdoors. That's why we're moving. We're moving from Northwest Indiana to, you know, I mapped it exactly 1 mile from the Blue Ridge Parkway to go hiking, not for treasure, but to do it recreationally every day that I can. It's going to replace my different type of exercise, right? Selling our exercise. Well, we give away our exercise equipment, family members. So, you know, that's, yeah. So it's not about money. Good question though. But yeah. We got another question here. Can these be armchair, do you think? Part of me feels they can. This is I know Heather's got something to say about this.
Oh, no. It's just, we've had this conversation before, but I think it's a valid question.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes it feels like it can be an armchair. And then I think that I've gone boots on the ground enough that when something can work out perfectly on paper and through the computer, what your research is looking like. But in this particular treasure hunt, I have found John has gone to great lengths to ensure that we're going to get out of our house on this one. And my most unexpected twists have come boots on the ground.
Yeah, I honestly think the person that does find it, or persons that find it, if it's a team, there's going to be a large component in boots on the ground. Not just saying, well, you armchair that you're going boots on the ground to get it, but some type of grid search moment that you're going to find it that I guess the way I'm saying, you're not going to come up with your solve based on just your armchair and then walk straight to it.
Right.
I think you're going to have to search. So I guess it all depends on what your definition of armchairing is, right? Because there's a large component is going to be armchairing, right? You need to, you know, figure out what area it's in. I think it's going to get you an area that is going to, you know, you're definitely going to have to grid search and find it.
I mean, I do think that especially, I think it's different for different boxes as well. But I do feel like some of my more recent research has felt like it's getting close. I won't know unless I go boots on the ground. But even in that, I feel like things I have learned on a different box, boots on the ground, have prepared me to anticipate where John, you know, where I may see something on the ground right here, because that sounds a lot like what happened over with this box. And so I do think that some of them, there may be one or two that are going to get you into a much narrower search area. But I do not think that there's enough information for you to literally walk up to a box just knowing exactly where it's at. I do feel like there's some searching involved. How much search area could vary for each type. I have felt like there may be a smaller search area in the box I'm working on now than there was in the last one. But I don't know anything because I don't have a box.
Same. Well, I think 3D Bronze said it best when he was on before. And that was that he had asked me how far I've gone off the trail. Maybe you did ask me online. I don't know if we talked about this at some point. You know, how far have I looked off the trail? You know, from a lot of things I've seen, and this does not speak for everybody at all, but the things I've seen are people or heard is people have gone on a trail and this looked off maybe 10, 15 feet, and that's it. Yeah. I don't think you're going to find it doing that. I do agree with him that you're going to have to go pretty far off and start looking around and not just casually walk by a trail and go, oh, that's it. That's not it. That's, or I found it. It has to be here. And it's 10 feet, I'm going to look 10 feet off the trail or something like that.
Yeah.
With any box, not just, Appalachian footbed, just because that's one I'm most looking at the most. I think with any box, you're going to have to put some time in. I would probably even extend it to say it's not going to be your first time out there either. You may have to spend a couple days looking for. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable. It's reasonable to think that there could be that rare chance, and I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it's reasonable to think that it's going to take a few days to find it. That's why I think this is going to be a lot harder than it's not. That's, the person that finds it is going to have spent a substantial amount of time out in the field looking for it when they find it, when it's all said and done.
And I do think as it goes along and there are boxes discovered, things may get easier and more
Right.
uncharitable when we have a better idea of, what is the overarching thing, especially if something turns out to be geographic, or what things like that. I feel like that I do feel like that the boots on the ground experience is a pretty large requirement early in the hunt and as often as you can. But I feel like that there is a possibility after we've been working on this for years and something finally clicks, then yes, you may figure out that you have been on the trail right there the whole time, but now you know what you're looking for. Now you know exactly, and you may even remember, I saw this. But I do feel like it could get easier to be armchair solvable as we know more information for sure. But John I don't feel like is confirming enough things for us. Not that I want him to confirm more, but I just don't feel like we have a lot of not only confirmed clues, but what they might possibly mean to start armchairing a whole lot. Now he did say that one of them was much easier to do with the armchair solve part of it. That would lead me to believe that he's given you some very specific information, very unique to that place, most likely. I don't know which box that is, but whichever one it is, that I think that one is one maybe he feels like if you've done it and you found all of the clues, then you may be good to go. And that's the other side of it. You don't have to have all the clues in order to make a good effort at a solution and to retrieve a box if you're willing to grid search it. So I think it's a matter of, can you pick up on all of the clues and also leave alone all of the rabbit holes at the same time, and then probably could do a lot better with armchair solving some of these things.
Yeah, and just to be clear, my opinions are based on what I know today. And you made a good point, Heather, is if something's, a couple boxes are found, when a couple of boxes are found, my opinion is going to change, I'm sure. I don't, yeah, I think it would be unrealistic to put to hold me to my opinion, before a box has been found. It's going to change, but I'm going by what I think, now. We got some more questions here.
Okay.
We got chances that the box is found by someone totally outside the online community seems very unlikely to me. I don't. I think it's a high probability, and here's the reason why. We know there's at least a couple 100,000 books that are that have been sold, and there are only, when I say a handful, that are in the Discords, the Reddits, the Facebook, you're talking less than 5% of the amount of people that are probably that have the book. Now you can say, well, not everybody that has a book are looking. That's true. And I went through this exercise mentally once before. But I think what you see here in the online community is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And I think is I would find it. I think what you're seeing is probably the minority of people looking for it. I think a majority of people are not coming out and saying things. I get questions all the time. Why do you talk so openly about your places like this? I even asked, Heather, hey, do you think I should share this? It's yeah. Heather, do you want to add to that?
I just think that, it's I was one of those silent people sitting out there that no one knew about up until a month and a half ago, and I've been doing this for almost 2 years. I probably wouldn't have come in a podcast wasn't even in my mindset. I just got to a point where I felt like my solves were pretty solid, and I wanted to see what else was going on, and I found a community that I enjoy. It was very much an unexpected surprise. But I know there are a lot of people who are sitting out there watching our videos, that are reading the chats, that have never once commented on a single solitary thing. They're reading the discords. They're your sometimes it's that quiet kid you always worry about. So I do think that that's what we may be looking at. I mean, we are out here so openly sharing things, and honestly, if you really stop and think about it, it may just take a piece of information from my podcast mixed with a piece of information from your podcast mixed with a piece from, all the ones that we've mentioned tonight. And the chances that you may be able to put some pieces together that we aren't even seeing because we are so busy working on podcasts and interacting with people. So that there's always that one puzzle piece that's missing, and that's all people need. And you never know when they're going to find that or when they're even going to discover it for themselves. But I believe there are way more, probably for every person that we have interacting in this community, there's probably at least 25 more who are doing absolutely zero interactions. But they are as serious as we are about this hunt, and there's no difference. They just aren't vocally ready to interact about it. And I think that it's dangerous to think that they aren't out there. So I do think there's a high probability that there could be someone finding these boxes that are not people we interact with in our community.
Yeah, and just to put it in perspective, I mean, I have on one of my boots on the ground videos 6,782 views on that. And if you haven't been noticing, my channel's got 9,950 subscribers. I just looked right now, and it's jumped. I just posted I hit 5,000 not so long ago. And I don't get comments.
In the next few minutes, and you'll hit 10. Come on.
Right. Yeah, we're just going to keep on tonight. And so I hit 10. I need 50 more subscribers to hit the 10K mark. So I think I'm going to be on here until that happens.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people that are looking that aren't active in here. And just to remind everybody, if you want a question asked, you have to put the QQQ on it. I'm catching some just by looking. I can't focus on those. So I won't know if it's a question unless you put the triple Q in front of it. So if I miss your question and you don't have it, and that's why. It's all bots, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, bots. I don't know. They have bots have pretty good retention levels.
No, I'm recognizing most of their names.
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of public subscribers, so I can see those. And when you see what they're when you're a public subscriber, you can see their name, and you can also see what other channels they subscribe to. Now, not all my subscribers are public. My personal one isn't public. I don't think YouTube defaults that you're a public subscriber. I think you have to change that, right?
Right.
I don't remember ever putting mine.
Yeah, when you sign up, you are automatically not a public subscriber. You have to change it if you want to be public.
Yeah. I never knew you could, and that existed before, so that's why mine's not changed. But anyway, so yeah. So if you want to back to the question part, are there bots? I'm sure there are. But I have the same people making comments, and you have to. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not even going into that part. I can do video on YouTube stuff if you want. Okay, we have. Do you both feel that people are coming up with their solves, but not including the photographs as part of their solves? John stated the photographs in the book play a vital role. So I'm assuming you're asking for the lion's share, and then if they're using the photographs in the part one of the book to come up with their solves, right?
Yeah, I think he's saying that he's saying that maybe a lot of people are coming up with solves and they really aren't including photographs as part of their process or some part of their information. And because John has stated that it's a vital role, do we feel like that we see people that are leaning towards not having explanations for the photographs?
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that could be. I mean, um, people are it's interesting on what people share when they come up with their solves. And I respect the fact that people aren't sharing how they come up with their solves. I get countless emails on people sharing not their solves, but hey, I know where it's at. This, and they'll walk me through part of it, but they won't tell me what. And I respect that. Look, I mean, first of all, if you send me email, I don't talk about anybody's solves. A lot of some channels do. I don't unless you explicitly give me written consent to share it. I won't share it. Um, if somebody really is hardcore on their solve, I invite them on the show, and I've done that for a couple of people. Diego was a good example of that one that I could think of off the top of my head. I have talked to some people offline, not recording, just to hear, and it turns out good sometimes, not so good the other times. You live and learn, right? But yeah, so to answer that, I think it's possible. I think it's highly probable that people are not are or no, I think it's possible that they they're just not telling anybody. I guess is the way I put it.
I think that I know I didn't use them very much at the beginning of mine because I'm an analytical person. I found a whole lot of information in the text, but what I began to realize is that they go together. Like one of you's giving one your text may be giving you some information that is literally paired with the picture that's, on the page before or whatever. I think that people have been a lot less forthcoming about what they're seeing in the photographs. And I don't know that I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not willing to talk about most of the things that I see because I feel like um, there's some very they're not well-known pieces of information, and it is a treasure hunt. And we're not I'm not out here just to kind of lay out my solves for you and convince you that I'm right. But I do feel like that the way that the pictures pair together with the information that people are getting from the text, that's probably some of the things that are not popular to spread around. Everybody's analyzing the text. And I just think that it's just hasn't become the thing that has been discussed out loud necessarily as often. It doesn't mean it's not there. It just means it's not what's loudest.
Yeah, and this is a good statement, I should say. It would have been interesting with even more engagement if one of the solves was easier than the others and was solvable within weeks rather than years. Yeah, I mean, and I think I had looked at Dr. Krypton's remark saying that, this is John's first hunt. He doesn't have a team and all this stuff. I think, you know, it, he probably took the route of making it as hard as possible, only to later be able to release more and sort of throttle the speed in which he wants the hunt to go. He
Yeah.
wants, I mean, and look, call me naive, right? I'm sure everybody can call me naive, right? I he doesn't do this for the money. He's got money. He's not going to exponentially grow his portfolio based on this treasure hunt. It's
No.
the math isn't there. He's doing this genuinely that he wants people to enjoy, and I'm not going to try to extrapolate more on why he's doing this, but like in more detail, I just think he wants people to enjoy it. He's enjoying it.
Oh
This
yeah.
isn't something he's like, man, he's sitting over a dinner with his wife and saying, they know, Kimberly, we really need to expand our portfolio more. How about we do a treasure hunt? This will make us a ton of money, right? No, I
I
don't.
think the most I might expect is that John is maybe I don't think he cares how long it takes. I really don't. That wasn't the reason or the point that he did the treasure hunt to start with, in my opinion. But I also feel like there may be a few moments where he analyzes this like I would analyze a lesson in my classroom. And, I will take note of the things that I feel like went really well. I may take note of how things didn't go as well, or when I had to add support, what did I need to do? And, as I mentioned to Dave, I hope John does more treasure hunts in the future, especially if these are found in the next, couple of years. But I think that John's view on whether or not the treasure boxes are found, about the biggest concern he has is going to be, if I were to do this again, I'm seeing that I would maybe not want to do things this way, or I might want to, I think a team would be a really good idea. If I were doing a treasure hunt, I would want a team of the best people that I could possibly find. But I would want a team so that I could, because as teachers, we work that way. Hey, this is what my idea I have for the lesson. You go through the lesson as, as if you were a student. Tell me what you feel like could be improved. And rather than us doing everything on our own as teachers and learning it when our kids don't succeed at it. So I think that, would it be nice if there was a bigger team? Would it possibly give people a little more confidence in that this is doable? Possibly. But I do think that the first thing that's going to give us that confidence is when one of us finds a box. Let's just go find one, y'all.
Yeah, I agree. That's very well said on that. We have another one. Does anything change for you if your boots on the ground location is a pain to get to and or requires way more energy to search? Does anything change for you if your boots on the ground location is a pain to get to? No. I mean, depending how big of a pain it is to get to, and I think I've experienced that in New Hampshire, and we talked about this a little bit, but it's a good question because it did factor in whether or not I'm going to even continue to consider this a potential location. And I know it's subjective, but it's just something I'm looking at. If depending on your fitness level, a lot of things can be a pain to get to. But if it's something that I think that the average person is going to struggle with to get through, and there are a lot of areas like that in New Hampshire, I'll tell you what, there's a lot. But there were some that were strenuous, and it was, I guess, depending on the time of day, it would be a pain for me, but I wouldn't discount it. I think it goes on what your definition of pain to get to is, I guess, and I don't mean that in any negative way, but for me it was if it's like unreasonable to, like, I have to now put my hiking poles down, get my chalk out, chalk up my fingers, and start climbing these boulders and stuff to go over, then I'm not going to do it. Or if it's something that I am like literally out of breath trying to get to in a short amount of time or a short amount of area, then I'm like, nope, that's not where it's going to be at for me. How about you, Heather? You're nodding there.
I mean, I've had a trail that turned out to be more difficult than I would have liked for it to have been, but it didn't change what I was going to do with it. I mean, like I'd worked for what I was, there for, so I'm going to go ahead and see that through. I think that remembering that you need to enjoy this journey and you need to be doing things that you enjoy is probably that, that'll probably settle it for you. If you're not going to enjoy it, then you probably, you may not want to go do that, because if we get to a point where we're no longer having fun, then we have to figure out what is it that we are wanting out of it. Were we enjoying the armchair hunt? Do we just want to engage with the community more in that respect? Sometimes, I've been there. I've been in all of the roller coaster moments. I've had the twists, the turns, the loops, upside down, stomach drops. I've had them all. But I always come back to, I love puzzles. I love doing this, and this is what I love to do. If I need to take a break to get that, that's fine. But I feel like, I guess just in answering your question, is that nothing that John has done is going to put me in danger, according to him. So I guess because I'm a person that likes challenge every now, I mean, I don't like it when I'm physically in the moment, but I accept a challenge wherever it appears and I persevere through those. And so, I've had a trail or two I did not like, and I didn't really enjoy being there. But if I'm there on a mission, that's what I'm there for. And, I do what I need to do and then head home. But I think that part of it is that we do really need to be enjoying what we're doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. Now, Heather, have you ever barfed? You said on a roller coaster.
Oh,
Sorry,
no. I grew up, I love roller coasters.
that was a little too late for.
But from this, there are times that I've been sick to my stomach with this treasure hunt every now and then. Yeah, I mean, when something I work so hard for, all of a sudden becomes clear to me that I was wrong. Like that can make you sick to your stomach. I mean, it can turn your stomach a little bit. But I always look back at the fact that I enjoyed all the things I did to get there, and I was just wrong. So let's just start again.
Yeah. We have another one. Has Dave, when he's I'm assuming is Dave's said when he's interviewing John next. That's what I'm assuming the question is.
Yeah, as you confirmed.
Yeah, as confirmed. I mean, I haven't talked to Dave since he's been on, so I like giving him the space. I don't like just randomly hitting Dave up for John questions. I talk to Dave a lot more about non-treasure stuff than treasure stuff. But I think when he said, what did he say last week? He said he's going to be talking to him this week.
He was going to be talking to him. He set up a time to talk to him about the interview, I think this week. I think he said he had set up a time. The way he said it, I assumed he meant he set up a time for John and he to talk about the interview. I don't think it was the interview itself. It may have been, but I don't think it was.
Yeah.
I think this week was when they were going to talk about when setting it up would happen. And then from there, he may update us. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, that's, you never know when he's going to put it out, which is exciting in and of itself. Like, I know I have my notifications on Spotify, so I'll know right when it is. And I'm sure unless, I don't have access to it, I'll be listening to it. But I think back to the whole, roller coaster analogy, when I get an email from John's people or his email list, when you go to his website and you sign up for the email list and you get that email, that's when I worked at my old job, every time I got one, it was when I was coming back from lunch and I was driving, and I literally had to pull off to the side of the road because I don't read text or anything when I'm driving. I'm a safety guy. I literally pulled off to the side of the road, and I was like right in front of my job place too. And I pulled off. I couldn't even wait to get in. I pulled off and read it, but obviously it's not. And I do check the website regularly just in case.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I wish we heard more from him, but I don't want clues. I feel like I would enjoy just, some presence, but I understand. I mean, he has a family. He's done. He's in a phase of his life that's different from mine. I remember what it was like to have kids and be really busy. So I don't fault him for the way that he's doing that, but I do feel like that. I feel like that there would be more engagement in the community if it were a regular thing to just get to hear from him. The problem I think that he has with that is that he knows everyone is going to try to read into everything that he says. So I think he's always really trying to be careful, not just about not saying something that gives away a clue, but also maybe not saying things that would send somebody in a direction unintentionally. I think a good example, when he said he hadn't been to New York in a while, I think he was meaning personally. And then everybody's like, oh, there's no treasure in New York. He hasn't been to New York since then. And all of a sudden he had to come out and clarify, wait, I was in New York. I have been to New York. I just wasn't on, like, whatever. He clarified it. So I almost feel like he hasn't gotten comfortable enough to feel like everything he says is not going to be picked apart to the point that it could create a little bit of chaos.
John hid the clues in the back of the Declaration of Independence, I'm sure. Man. I think that's got to be the best comment of the night.
Yeah, he did that with what, the limes and the ink figure. Yeah, it's all there.
I say we go steal it. No, that was a quote from the movie. Government listening to me. I'm not planning on stealing the Declaration of Independence. There's no way.
Yeah, he's not.
Twist on the value question. How much is your solve worth to you? Hypothetically, is there any amount of money you would take to share your best finds? Well, my solve is what my solve is worth to me is engagement on my channel, because believe it or not, everything that I have, I've shared on my channel. So the cost, it's not. And here's why I say that. You can, and I think we said this before, you can have a great solve and it could be correct, but that's only half of it. You still have to go out there and find it. And that's why I always said I don't have a problem sharing my ideas and solves on channel. Now I may wait till I get back, only because you don't know. I mean, especially now, I got a ton of people watching. Who's watching, and if there's any nefarious characters out there that may want to do harm to me. So I am in the safety and security field now. And yeah, part of it is keeping people safe and keeping myself safe and my family. So yeah, how about you, Heather?
I mean, I don't have any interest in selling and sharing my ideas. If I get to a point that I realize that I'm not going to be actively able to go out and search, or it's something I'm not doing anymore, then I would start sharing more information. And I don't think I would look to sell it, because that to me, that's going to get you in a whole lot of different situations. Like, I just don't feel like that to me, that's not what this kind of thing is about.
Yeah.
If I were going to do anything at some point, maybe would just want to try to get together and maybe collaborate, or maybe, talk more about it on my channel. I don't see myself taking, I don't think anybody would pay me what I would need for me to feel like it was worth handing it over, as much as
Yeah.
I've worked, as far as just to someone for, if that's all that, if they're wanting to buy that kind of thing, to me, all you're after is the money anyway. And I don't know that you figured out what this is all about to start with.
Yeah, it's well said. I agree with that
And
100%.
I didn't mean that person in particular. I just meant if someone were offering. I think
Yeah.
it was hypothetical from him, not a.
Yeah. And I think, it's also with, if somebody's wanting to exploit that for their own personal gain, I think there's more excitement in the hunt than there is in the find.
Well, I think it
Right.
takes the fun out of the game. I mean, if all you're out after is the money, I mean, it's money. I mean, like, money is, everybody always says money is the root of all evil. No, the love of money is the root of all evil. But
Yeah.
they also, money can't buy happiness. They're not buying the right things. To a certain extent, I mean, like, when you come from a world that didn't have anything, like, I mean, I came from a world that I won't take time to tell you the whole story, but I mean, I came from nothing. I mean, nothing, literally nothing. And so, money is important when you come from a place like that. But at some point in time, you have to realize where contentment lies. But I feel like that it takes the fun out of what is happening here if it just becomes about finding the treasure box and, skipping off. And then, like, to me, there's so much more that's going to play out after this. The stories that get told. I'm in it for the interest of the love of the game, and the interest and the love in what I enjoy this, y'all. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I love this stuff.
I do too.
And so I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, I do too. And this is, yeah, not about the I look, have not, I grew up in Gary, Indiana. It's not like I had a lot, and I've had the ups and downs of money, and nothing has made me more happier than doing this. And this cost me money.
Yeah.
I don't make money. I
No,
mean,
it's funny. Yeah.
theoretically I make it, but it doesn't cover the costs of everything I do. Like I said, it's my hobby, So
Yeah.
I don't come out in the black at the end of the day or at the end of the year. This is done out of fun.
Yeah.
It's enjoyment, plain and simple. Do you think having a therapist before you start treasure hunting is a huge advantage? Yes, I do. You need a good.
You didn't have one before, you will have one after.
I think a well planned therapy session before getting the hunt probably would have been a good idea on my part, or at least bringing it up to my therapist. Hey, by the way, I'm getting started in this treasure hunt. And yeah, that probably would have helped out a lot. Good question, though. Good question. And we have John said the locals might be surprised how close one of the boxes is to their campsite. Which box and how close do you think he means? That is a great question. I'll let Heather do this one because I think I talked about this a little bit before.
Well, if you think about, I think that whatever box that is going to be the most personal one to John. And because I feel like, I don't know, maybe he camped on the Forest Bend adventure he went to. And doesn't that one say Camper's Blaze in the poem?
Does.
Aren't the words Camper's Blaze in the poem?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, I think there could be many reasons that he would use that particular situation, but I think that when we have Camper's Blaze sitting right there in front of us, is a good chance it's the Forest Bend one. And how close does he mean? I don't know how close as in a measurement, but what I would gather is that they may be surprised that it's not far from where they walk back and forth and trod through. Like, I don't mean like pathway, but like, how it is when you're camping. You go off exploring, you go off to the swimming hole, you go off to here. There are several places you venture around when you're camping. And so I think if you are somewhere, anywhere close by is going to be, I think it could be fairly close. I think he's taunting that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I would have agreed with you before, but now I think it's Pokemon box. I really do. I've been looking at that a little bit more now lately, and I even reached out to a person that I was talking to before about his solve and everything, and we were supposed to talk this weekend about it, but I just got tied up with too much stuff for this move. And I was going to ask him if he had considered this spot because I was inspired. Jenny Kyle's been putting some really cool videos out lately. And she always puts cool videos out. I love those short ones, those like 5-minute ones, because she packs so much into those. It's like the mass of a meteorite, right? Like if you were to weigh her clues in a 5-minute video, weighs more than mine in like a 2-hour video.
Yeah.
As more, I don't know how better to put it. And anyway, one of her recent ones, and I don't know offhand, so just go to her YouTube and check out all of them. They're only a few minutes each. Is she had talked about the Pokemon one, and it got me thinking enough to come down into my lair, into my office in my basement and look a little bit more. And lo and behold, I came up with something. I'm like, wow, this could be great. And I'm the only reason I'm not saying it, I wanted to let the guy I'm talking to hear it first and get his reaction because I really want to see this guy find the box. I'm not actively looking for it. I probably won't be. I don't think there's any box I'll be looking for this year because of the move and work's ramping up and everything. But I think it's really good, and I'll say it. But anyway, what was it? What's the name of her YouTube? It's Mysterious Writings. Just type Mysterious Writings anywhere on the internet, and it'll put you to it because she's like the treasure hunting matriarch, right? She's got Substack, she's got website, she's got Discord, she's got everything. Go to Mysterious Writings. Well, actually, go to my homepage on my YouTube, and she's on my. I have a list of friends of One Clue Short. So yeah.
I also think that
Kobe's put it up here.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's got great stuff. I mean,
She does.
And congratulations to her grandchild. She just had a grandchild.
She's also really good about just kind of keeping everything informed. I like that she wants to make sure everybody's got the latest information. And sometimes I'll see her snatch things off Discord, just that she thinks are really good, just so that she's sure, her audience is there getting some good information as it comes in. So I like the way she she really is an organizer.
Yeah.
She's good about not just her own thing. She's really good about trying to, watch the rest of the community and pull from them. So I think she's a great channel.
Yeah. No, I love her stuff. I often go back to her website, her
Yes.
Substack, well, she has Substack and a website. A little confusing to me because there's so much information out there
Yeah.
and
Well, if I want to
navigating.
know if I want to look at the Seeker Summit letter, that's the Mysterious Writing Seeker Summit, because I know I'm going to get it pretty quick.
Yeah, the good thing is, whatever you like Google, she's got it set up. Her SEO is really good.
Good catalog.
Yeah, and if not, just go to her Discord and give her a message or something. She'll get right back to you on it, and you can find it. So it's really good. Do we have any more questions in here? I don't know. Let's see. We're pretty darn close to 10K subscribers. We're at 9,900, and I'm refreshing it. Let's see. It's going slow. I think Kobe broke the internet because not 9,977. So I don't know if we're gonna hit it tonight, guys.
I do think somebody mentioned the lion's share. The only reason that I feel that I kind of expected that if it was a lion's share box, that there was something more pointing in that Joy Serenade as well. I know we have Ignited with the Flame of Starlight, so there is but I feel like that's a little exotic for a campfire, but it definitely could be that. But I feel like that I was expecting that if that would be it, it would have a little bit more of a nudge, and maybe in the Joy Serenade, you've got your molten tone of a tune. I mean, there are a few words that refer to fire and that sort of thing, but he was pretty open there in Forest Fan. And then if you have something that you've noticed in Pokemon, I mean, I think Pokemon being more towards the southish areas. I just I do think about that picture of him with the Forest Fan with him and Kimberly. I don't know. They may not have been camping, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the two. I think my guess, if I had to guess, if I were given like approximate, I would say one or two. But I would, if I had to pick one, I would have to say Pokemon one. But again, it could be past and future, right? It could be Appalachian Trail. It could be any of them. Who knows? Kobe says, "How will I plan and celebrate 10K?" I have no idea, Kobe. I never thought I'd hit it.
He's gonna eat ice cream.
I'm gonna eat ice cream. I'm gonna have my replica George Washington jelly glass, and I'm gonna eat it out of there. That would be cool.
I might eat mine out of my my 3D box.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Fannie Mae store. I don't know if anybody have a Fannie Mae chocolates by you, but I'll put that fill up my boxes with Fannie Mae chocolates and eat it out there. I gotta stop eating like this, man. I lost a lot of weight last year, and I'm starting to gain it back a little bit. I think it's because of this move and everything. This is the wrong one. How do you do multiple hunts at a time? Pros and cons to that. That's a good question. I cover multiple hunts. If you mean actually doing them, like actively searching, I think I do. I mean, I'm the closest I am to doing other hunts. I haven't. I guess it all depends what you're saying. You're actively doing it. Yeah, I'm actively doing the Beyond the Map's Edge and this one, and I think it does add value. It at first it was overwhelming because I was new to this whole treasure hunting thing, and I didn't know how to allocate my time and my thoughts to it. And later on, now I think it is an advantage because you have two different styles, in my opinion, of a treasure hunt being done. And I think it's good. It's doable knowing that. And it also is a palate cleanser in between doing both of them. So how about you?
I'm all TTI. But this is the first time I've done treasure hunting. I didn't know there was something like this out there until until this came along and I got involved. Will I do more? Yes. I don't do simultaneously right now because I am seriously so engaged with this one. And I don't want to, I even found when I work on a different box, sometimes I will, I don't want to say forget because I don't tend to forget. I just like I have to go back and refresh myself as to where I was and all of the information. There's so much information that of course I'm on the lion's share, so we're talking the whole book. And so when I work on one of the smaller boxes, if I do it for very long, I tend to feel like I need to go back and just get everything fresh in my mind. So I think the disadvantage or might be that you could mix up your thoughts from one treasure hunt to the other as far as what was this a clue to and where, if you're not super, super organized. The other side of it is that I know when I come back, I tend to have another fresh perspective or something that I hadn't noticed tends to come out. So sometimes it can be a little like, sampling the entire smorgasbord or, the buffet. So I think that it just depends on how your brain works and how much, you're willing to create those compartments for that sort of thing. So I think there's advantages and disadvantages, but I think it depends on your personality a lot and your organizational skills and your brain, the way your brain works.
Agreed. And this is a true Charles Chapman caloric deficit, Eric. Absolutely. That's my problem. I'm not. I know how to lose weight. I've done it. And I know how to gain weight because I've done that too. But mine is just
And
I'll let you in a little bit. Since everybody's stuck around and stuff, I'll get to share a little side of me that probably people don't know, right? So for me, it's when I get like hyper focused on something, I can do things, right? Because I like, losing weight. It's no treasure hunt, right? We there's no secret to it. It's it's quite simple.
Right.
To do. It's the ability to do it is the hard thing. It's the emotional attachment side. It's the telling it's convincing yourself you don't need to eat the things that you do that are making you put calories on. Aside from having any medical issues, which I don't have any medical issues causing me to put more on. Yes, I'm getting older. I'm 53 years old, but it's because I'm eating more than I am burning off. Right? That's a pretty simple thing. What's hard for me is, like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, when my world changes a little bit outside of my regular routine, it's difficult for me to focus on one thing at a time as well. It changes things up for me. So when I put all my energy to one thing, it's a deficit in the other, and it's just more difficult on me because I do have ADHD. So it's if you have it, type thing. So that's how I handle it. But it doesn't help when I, to cope with different stresses or things like that. I should be focusing more on taking better care of myself. And sometimes I don't always do that. So that's just a little, FYI for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that I'm not sure who was that just said that, but it kind of pointed out that where'd you go? I was going to give you credit for it. It's in the chat here, but the biggest thing that they pointed out that I think is I didn't really think of it that way, but like when we go to a different box, it's kind of like we are going to a different treasure hunt. I do like it because I don't have to worry about confusing information that does not belong. I know y'all aren't gonna like when I say that, but like if it's in this book, it's part of this treasure hunt. And so like I don't feel like if I were doing Justin's and then coming back and doing this one, they're so similar. I might confuse something that I read in Justin's book to be something that maybe was over in this book. And so I feel like with TTI, at least I am contained within the same book. But when you do go to a different box, it's almost like you're going to a different treasure hunt. If you get tired of one, then, you got 4 other boxes right now that you can go work on, and it can give you a break or a chance to refocus. So I really wish I knew who said that. Was that Todd or Charles? I can't remember one of y'all. I'm so sorry. I had it pulled up and my live keeps moving. But anyway, somebody said that and I thought that's definitely true.
Yeah. Kobe just said I'm 10 subscribers away from
All right.
10,000. So I or
Charles.
nine away now.
All right. Yeah, that was Charles. Thank you, Charles,
Yeah.
for that comment. I was
Yes.
sorry I didn't recognize where it came from.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know, I don't always it's difficult. This is why I have Kobe on here. He moderates my chats. It's difficult for me to pivot, but some people do a really good job. People that do their lives all the time, treasure hunt with us, Calazars, they're like really good at that. I have a hard time reading and then focusing because I like to put my attention on the person talking. So it is a little challenging for me to do that. So that's usually why I do better when they have more people on the show, as far as focusing on different things. But so if I don't get to your stuff right away, that's why. So
Well, I did not enjoy it. That's why I haven't had another live yet. I got to get more equipment.
Yeah, it's I like it for the fact that well, here's the thing. There's a group of people out there that like not everybody likes doing lives or likes participating in lives. That's why you see bigger channels that have all these subscribers. They don't have a lot of people in their lives, right?
Yeah.
All the plans have to line to be available for it. But I do like to put attention on people that enjoy it, and I enjoy doing that as well. All right, thanks for congrats on 10K in advance. Well, I hope I hit it, right? We should. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very exciting. We also have how come no one says what they think the symbols mean anymore, like 1727? What do you mean by no one? I mean on Discords, I hear a lot about what people think that means. I don't know exactly what 1727. Here's how I use the 1727. I think I've explained this. This could be in the 71 and 72nd degree parallel, which would put it up in an area, in that New England area. If you look at X Marks New Jersey's site, there was something I shared with him today when it popped up on his video. When I watched his video on Gregory is his name that does that. It's like a GPS point in there, which I thought was pretty ironic or coincidental. But other than that, I don't know. I can't. I think it's just as reckless for me to say that's what it is than for somebody else to say, well, this is exactly what it is. It could be anything. It could. I don't know.
It could be a combination that unlocks the box.
Right. I mean, unless you have it and you know what it is, I don't think you can. I think you can say you think you know what it is, but I don't think anybody exactly knows what it is.
Well, until we have a box, I don't think we know exactly what anything is.
Right. Exactly. Right. I mean, we need a confirmation of what it is.
But I do think there have been several ideas thrown out there. Maybe people just don't have anything new to add to it. Or maybe they're just not, and if you find you're not using it, again, it could be the combination. Like I think there's many ways that we can look at it, but I think, like you just did, asking specifically, I think that's one of the things that if a listener, if you guys want to know things like that, especially, if we're not talking about it, then, that's the best thing to do is just to ask, what do we think it is? But I don't happen to have a really good piece of information. I did do the Appalachian Footpath series. That was, I think, the last series that's actually posted. I've been a while since I posted. But I didn't address the 1727. I felt like there were a few things that I didn't address on the map, and I felt like that was going to be for the third round, the third way to use the map. So I just didn't have a good answer to that. But I think that's a great question. When you have questions like that, even if we've answered them before, you may have come along since then or whatever, just give us a shout. We'll let you know what we think.
Yeah. He says that's what I meant. Nothing new.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I and don't take this the wrong way, but nothing new. Well, I mean, we don't, we're not spitting out these answers like just like a machine here, right?
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
we may need to take a look at it if that's, when questions
yeah,
come up that nobody has answered or that I don't know the answer to, then the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at it and see if I have a new answer for it. But I think that
yeah,
there's been a good bit of information put out there, and I guess there's kind of only so many things that until somebody stumbles across something new, that's all we
yeah.
have.
And if you don't see anything that's new to you, then maybe come up and share what you think as well, right? And
Yeah,
it adds to it. Then you build upon it, and I think that's the beauty of this collective, everybody working on it,
yeah,
is that we build upon what we know, we learn from things, and we move the ball forward, right? Like any given Sunday, we need that Al Pacino speech.
Well, it's really neat too. Like I'm beginning to get that interaction of, what it feels like to collaborate just a little bit, and you'd be surprised that what you get people talking back and forth, what you can come up with. Um, Collaboration is not something I've ever considered on this treasure hunt, just because I didn't know anybody who was doing it in the first place, and nobody really showed any interest in my circle of friends or whatever I have around here. But I've actually met a few people that are in this community, and I realized that this was a new hobby that was starting to be born for me. And I can see how, just like anything else, they always say two heads are better than one. I think with my students, a lot of times, if they don't understand, they want to, I want them to talk to each other, because you can begin to create and generate new ideas when you are able to talk to each other and bounce ideas off of each other. I think because it's a treasure hunt, that we're gonna, possibly always have that little bit of reservation that we may not, some people may not be willing to talk as much. But honestly, that may be how this treasure hunt becomes solved at some point, is because we get to a point where we are really conversing about it openly. But and I'll be happy to do that once I have a box.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. And I think that's going to be really cool. I mean, gosh, I hope the person that finds it comes on the show.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it be a great live stream?
yeah,
I
be
mean,
awesome.
after the person or persons, because it could be a team, after seeing all these other treasure hunts have been solved lately, it seems like it's been a team that's been solving it. Um, if after they talk to John first, I'm sure, and goes to their PR, I would love to have them on the show. I'll make them barbecue. Heck, I'll invite them to my new house.
I'll make them homemade banana pudding.
See, right?
We'll just have a whole. We'll have a whole bring a dish.
Yeah, I think that would be great, because then I would love to hear the solve and then walk through the solve, right?
I'd be interested to see how different it is from the intention of the solve.
Yeah, and I'm wondering. I don't know if we talked about this before or not, but like, how much of the solve do you think the person that's going to find it will have? Would they have just gotten one like sliver of it and this just force fed it and until they found it because it took so long? Or do you think they're going to have a majority or the whole thing solved? Right.
I think it's going to be a majority, just because knowing John, it's kind of like I feel like, especially in the lion's share, that he has these multiple locations that he has you hanging on to, that things that are leading in different directions. And I think he wants you to hold on to those. And then when he starts to narrow the field down, there may be a clue along the way that throws this one out, throws that one out. And it's kind of a process of elimination. I think it's more of what's left over when I'm done with all of the clues. So I don't think they'll have them all, and I don't think it's necessary. I've found the same clues in the text and in the picture. Like, it was literally the same clue. It was just that I feel like John was being diverse about how he was giving it out. So, but I do feel like that there will be at least when I say a large number, okay, let's just go with around 50. I know I don't believe there's only 50 clues in this book, but because he said there's more than 50, let's just start with 50. How many do we think would take in order to actually solve, I feel like you're going to probably have to have 40 of the 50. I think you can miss maybe something, but I don't think you can miss. I don't think you're going to be able to miss very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's going to be a tough one. No, it's going to be tougher is, Kobe just said we hit 10,000.
Oh yeah.
Woohoo!
Good.
Yeah. 10,000. Wow. That's
Congratulations.
crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. I don't even know what to say. That's crazy. We hit 10,000.
So now all y'all go over to my channel and subscribe.
Yes. Go.
I'm stuck at 200. Okay. I enjoy
That's
it.
crazy. What's even crazier is when I moved to North Carolina is competing with North Carolinians barbecue, because living up near Chicago, yeah, we have pretty good barbecue, but it's not like that. So that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough.
Who knows? You might teach them a thing or two.
Yes, hopefully. So we got all these congratulations coming in.
Yes.
Congratulations, congrats. This is great.
I
appreciate it. I do appreciate it, because when I started this channel, you can get the speech from me now, over a year ago now, a little bit over, a year and a third, maybe. I never expected it to get like this crazy at all. And I know a lot of my videos aren't conventional. Like what I learned later on when I got to a certain point, if I'm going to grow this channel to something to bring in more people outside of whatever the community is, I'm going to have to speak to people outside of the community. If I kept doing what I was doing and it didn't grow, and being in it for a short time, you got other channels that have Gypsy's Kiss and Kalazars again, a lot. They've been in the game for a long time, right? So they had time to accrue this. If I wanted to grow this channel, I'm going to have to do something a little different. I'm probably going to upset some people because I changed things, and then that wasn't my intention. But I wanted to be able to bring everybody into this and enjoy it as much as I enjoy doing this, like this treasure hunt. And
Yeah.
whether they stick around and watch all the videos or they come for one video, maybe they came for Veil, or maybe they came for, Quill and Compass or whatever. I want to create something that people felt comfortable, they could come to, they wouldn't feel like an outcast.
Yeah.
Right. And their thoughts would be respected, whatever they said, their comments. I mean, I appreciate all comments. And if somebody doesn't like something, then that's okay too. Right.
Yeah.
And I think
we don't know what they like and what they don't.
Yeah. So I have done some unconventional videos lately. I did my crazy jump cut with the AI thumbnail, but I wanted to really, I wanted to reach out to for YouTube to push this so it could reach out to more people, to get them to know about this hunt. Because I was up in Portsmouth a couple weeks ago, and for work, and nobody up there knew anything about it. I was at a restaurant and I was asking people about it, and nobody knew about it. So there's a lot of people that don't know about this, and that was my intention. And that's why I bring great people like Heather on and all of our other great guests, because we just want to grow this whole community, because the more one of us grows, the more it grows everybody else. So with that,
we should go on a mission to do some recruiting.
What's that?
I said, I think we should go on a mission and do some recruiting.
I do too.
Because it would be nice to have more people come in with like you said, no one said anything about 1727 in a while, maybe if we get some new people in here, we get new ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's why you say recruiting for our live streams?
No, like for the treasure hunt in general. And it'd be nice if they came here to us.
Yeah.
I'm not in live streams and or in our videos to help them catch up and learn. But I feel like it's a mission at this point to maybe dive out there and figure out how to reach people who don't know this exists, because they're if this is something that they would enjoy, then honestly, like I needed this. This came at a time in my life I needed a new hobby, and it turned out to be one of the best things that's happened. So, figuring out how to just let people know it's here if they're looking for something to do, and giving them a place to land and interact, because we have a great audience, but our community here that we've because we share a lot of the same people. I mean, even if I do a live, I may not have very many, but I know I'll see the same names that I'm seeing in your list.
Yeah.
So let's go out and figure out a way to put the message out there that, hey, there is something that exists. If you're looking for something fun to do that could challenge you, but also give you opportunities to, travel a little bit if you like to do that. Not asking people to spend money they don't want to spend, but like, hey, here's a new hobby. Come see how you like it.
Yeah. And they're always welcome in the community.
Yes.
And you don't see a large number of people on live streams, and that's normal. I don't think even outside of this community I've ever seen a channel. I mean, I've watched channels that have millions of subscribers, and I've watched their live streams that last like 2-3 hours long, like how to grow your YouTube channels, with like 100 people, 200 people in their chats. So live streams, I think, are more for just people that enjoy like that intimate community part, and I'll continue to do them. Right. And if Heather agrees, come on, she's always welcome, as well as our other guests too.
Yeah. I love these. I love the live streams, and I love
Yeah.
the fact that we can just hang out. I mean, like, I know it's been 2 hours. Some people may be stretching out. I got to go, but like, I enjoy sitting here. It's almost like I'm just hanging around, sitting at the table with friends.
Yeah, no, it's fun. And this has kept me grounded through this whole, process of moving, new job and everything and stuff like that. So with that though, it's getting late.
Yeah.
And I got to work tomorrow.
Yep.
I appreciate, Heather, you being on here. I appreciate everybody in the chats here tonight. I appreciate our 10,004th subscriber, because we're still growing. Let's try. Oh yeah. Well, here, add Laura, get another 10,000. Guess what, Gary Peterson? We have a Laura and Eric video series starting this week. So she's going to be on, and we're going to do a lot more videos. So we're going to have a little bit of everything. We have shorts. I do shorts. I do them on Instagram too, only because my kids are on Instagram. I don't know how to do Instagram well, so I just like post them there. And I do long form, live. I even do my posts. So if you're ever looking on there, I try to do a bunch of posts. Like I'll have maybe questionnaires and stuff on it. So check that out. And there's always something new going on. So I'm utilizing YouTube to its fullest. So that's why it's growing, I guess. So Anyway, that being said, thank you everybody. And we will do it again next week. And hopefully Wick will be back by then too.
Yeah.
So, thanks everyone. And we'll see you